everybody and welcome on today's video. This is a Mugo Pine. Yep, I tried a Mugo Pine last year and well, the idea was that very much like this one, I had three little stems here and I thought, well, let's dig a little deeper and see how these three branches emerge from the same trunk, and then I will see where I have a good base. And it was a horrible mistake, by the way. Everything died afterwards, but now I know why, and this comes from the same garden center. It is really easy. The solution is that these are just three trees that they put together in one pot, and then, well, because it is supposed to be like a bowl or something for in the garden, they don't make them as a bonsai. So they just put a few of these seedlings together to make a bigger tree, and then that's the thing. So, and it's almost impossible to separate this. It's too entangled, and the roots are in this compost, and they are all over the place. So I thought, well, I'm gonna do that again. It was $10 or something, I don't remember. So not a whole, how much was it? Oh, 8.9 euros. No, 7.98 euros. So 8 euros. So you can't go wrong with that. The roots are terrible. That's not a good root plane. Well, let's maybe come a little closer and have a better look. So I'm just talking and showing nothing, so that's not interesting. I took it out of the pot and I raked the roots out just a little and added some better soil. But the main portion of this tree is still, you see, this very wet stuff here. So I will have to remove that partially, and probably over the summer I'll make some progress by just removing some of the stuff. See, all these roots are crossing. There's a terrible root. I don't want that, of course, in the end. So maybe stuff like that I can remove by just cutting it, and then hope that the tree says, well, this is not a good one. I'll have to do something better. So yeah, so another thing that came into my mind was that I'm always trying to fuse things, and this is supposed to be something that fuses, and then I try to separate it. Now that's a really stupid idea. So what I'm gonna do is try to make this thing fuse and make it one tree, and try to get out of it the most. So if I want to fuse these three trunks that I will not separate, obviously I need to remove what's growing on the inside. So let's do that. Pines and cuttings, that's another thing. Doesn't work, they say. It's probably true, except for black pines. That might work. I've heard that some people had success with Mugo, so I don't know about that. But I know that I will put them all in the soil here and see. So this is then supposed to become a side branch. Not going to remove too much. Okay. This, well, it doesn't matter. It's a low branch. Can use that. Here I have some dead stuff that I should remove. and that's going to be an interior branch, so let's remove that one. Also great potential cutting. This is the main portion of this tree, the main the thickest stem. So here I have to ask myself, okay, this might be a top, but then I'll have to remove all of this stuff, and that's quite a lot. So the question is, do I want to do that? Well, I don't really have a choice. If this one or this one is supposed to become the new leader, yeah, that's a tough decision. Anyway, these two little guys here will not be used, that's for sure. So let's get rid of these. Is there another potential big one that can be the top? I don't think so. It's already going to be one hell of a job to get this close to this. Ah, well, let's just do it. So I'll remove that, and then that. These are just small ones. I could try to put this between these, but then I'll have to, well, I'll remove one at least, this one. Okay. So now the plan is to get this trunk here, this trunk here, between these two, but then I think that this branch is going to cause quite a lot of trouble, so I'm going to remove that one. Okay, well, at least I'm cutting off something. Not that I like to cut things off, well, I don't dislike it, but I mean, you have to make a decision one day if you want something to progress. So this will be here. Yeah. Maybe I'll already get a piece of raffia and do that, because then this is a solved problem. And then this one in the back, now it's going to be a whole lot more complicated because it's much thicker. So, okay, I'll get a piece of raffia. All right, so raffia. Well, this one is not going to cause any trouble, I think. So I'll just look at all these buds here. That's a good thing, of course. It means that this tree is healthy. And that it's going to grow. I'll just try to get these two close together. Yeah, that's why you need a third loop in every knot if you want it to stay. Here comes the sun, little darling. Okay, so it's not great, still have a gap, but I'll work my way around a couple of times. And again, this raffia is much better than, well, it depends what you want to do. I want to get this as tight as possible, but I don't want it to stay there for too long, so you need some natural stuff, because you want it to decay, to rot, to fall off before it bites in. That's why you can use natural raffia. So I'll make a little knot here. like so. Just gonna leave it. I might use it to anchor something else. So now comes the tricky part. I'd like to put this one, and it looks like nothing, but it has this terrible curve, and I really need to get this close to, well, in between these two. Okay, so how can I do that? Well, maybe I'll try to tie it in. So I'm going to make a little loop in my electrical wire here, which is always nice because it has some protection, the plastic protection. And then I'll go around here. I'll try to get this one in. And I hope that my loop is big enough, but I think it is. Before I do that, I'm gonna grab my pliers. Okay, so they're ready for the job. And now I need to go and get my wire somewhere here. I think is a good spot. So if I can do that, that's gonna be a good start. Okay. Oh boy, don't see anything. Ah, here it is. I'll try to get these wires together now. I think I'm gonna rip off this small one, but it's not a big deal. There's a lot of buds, like I told you. And now I need to make this first twist, which is always the most difficult, as you know. Okay, so I'm gonna remove this big piece of wire here, which is not helping. Okay. So it's almost where I wanted it to be, not completely, but well, pines, they're quite flexible, you know, but I'm absolutely no expert on pines, and yeah, well, at least there's something going on now. It's not completely done, and I said that I wanted okay, let's see what we have now. I still have no top. I might try to get this one here. That would cause a tremendous reverse taper if this works, which is obviously not something that I want. But I know for a fact that some pines that you see or buy are fused, and sometimes these Japanese pines that you can import, they still have the wire inside them, because, well, pines, they make an enormous bark, and they really swallow the wire. So now let me think. I have different options. I don't want to braid them, but if I entangle them, see, now this can become a top too, and yeah, I really have to think this over. So there are different possibilities. So if I can get this one together with this one and enclose this branch here, this and this can fuse. Do I have a third to fuse with this? Well, I don't think so. Okay, but I'm gonna try that. So how do I fix that? Probably with raffia. So let's try that. Okay, I have a plan. Been thinking off camera, because when you're trying to do everything on camera, well, I get nervous and then I do things hastily. So there's this trunk here with this main branch, and then I have this one from this main branch. Then the third branch will not be included in this portion, I'm afraid, but I can try. So I can try to take the three of them. So you see, I can use from this trunk this one. From this trunk I can use this one, and then I have from the third trunk this one in the middle. So I'm going to isolate them with a piece of cloth, and then it will be maybe a little more easy to understand what's going on. So I'm going to take a cloth and I'll be back. Alright, so it's a little confusing. So from this trunk I said this one. Okay. From this trunk this one, so I'm gonna put that back, and then I have from this trunk this one. So these three I'm gonna use, and I'll get a piece of cloth over the rest so that I don't get too confused while I'm doing this. Okay. So this one, is it 1, 2, 3? Okay. So not that and not that. So now I'm going to plug the needles. So I should have 3 now. Yeah. I'm going to plug the needles so that I can wire them together. So the fact that I use this cloth is just because, well, it's confusing. Alright, I don't think that I'm going to need this little branch here. It's not a very strong branch. There's a bud here, there's a good branch there. I don't need it, I need this bud, it's just opposite. So, remove that. Again here, 2 bar branches. Okay, so these 3 together. I'm going to take a piece of wire here and try to get it in the soil. But because I don't know where the roots are, and I'm going to need different pieces of wire, I think. So I'll turn this around the trunk, try to grab these 3 without crushing the other branches. Okay. Now get them in a row. This is a monstrous experiment. Again, I know. Okay, that's one wire. I'm gonna double it, but now I don't need this cloth anymore. Yeah. So I'm just going to treat this as one tree from now on, and I don't think that there's any problem, because but I didn't do any root work. There's no reason that something should go wrong here. So I'll double the wire. Now this is a portion where I can do some separation, so I'll get the wire around this one and not this one. So this can become a branch. I need to plug some more needles here, but I think that I can safely do that. Now, this is a real strange experiment. Oh boy. But it's gonna be fine. Yeah. But it's gonna take years, of course. But that's okay. Not in a hurry. No rush. Here again, I think that I can separate this fork. And on the other hand, I saw a video of Ryan Neal explaining the balancing of the needles on pines, and I think it's a good idea to do that, because I don't want any of these lowest branches to disappear. Okay, so this might be another branch, so I'm not including that in the fusing part, sorry. So that makes this tree look like a tree. Can it bite in? I think it can, because it's a pine, should be okay. So now I have a whole lot of branches here and here that I probably will never use, but I have a quite balanced branch placement. What will the front be? Well, of course, no one knows at this point, and I think that I'm gonna call it a day. I'm just going to let this grow. And then maybe another idea that I have, so really bad surface roots I will remove. And in order to do something about that terrible soil, well, it's not terrible soil, it's terrible soil if you want to grow your tree as a bonsai, I'll probably make some holes and try to include a little substrate that is a little better. And if I do that a couple of times, I'll probably replace some of the bad compost with better one, and it might help me in the future when I repot this tree. So this is a tedious work, but it might help in the end, because bare rooting a pine, no, this, I don't know. So a little bit here, and then a little bit here, etc., etc. And I think that I might do that all over the year, just to give the roots a new channel. And this will be a portion where these roots are not that entangled then, but it's of course a very long and tedious work. But it might be great, I don't know. So again, a bit of a crazy experiment, I'll give you that. But at least it's a living pine, which is much better than a dead pine. And I'm going to let this grow at least for a year, and then remove the wire, then probably use some synthetic raffia to wrap it, and make maybe a first branch selection. And in the coming months I will gradually try to remove all the compost and try to find a decent root flare. And once that I find a decent root flare, I can start thinking about a front for the tree. And then, well, of course, all the branches all over the place will be very good, because then I can start a selection. It is a long-term process, but it always is in bonsai. So that's what I'm gonna try. So well, I hope you liked it. If you think that I'm completely foolish, please let me know in the comments. And that's all that I have for you today. So thank you for watching, and see you next time.